Today is August the 14th, 2014. My name is Tanya Finchum, along with Alex Bishop, and today we're in Mooreland, Oklahoma, to speak with Herman J. Harper, and this is regarding our Oklahoma 100-Year Life project. So thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
Let's start with having you tell us when and where you were born.
Well, I was born October the 27th, 1912,
And where?
at Quinlan, Oklahoma.
Quinlan. So how far is that from here?
It's about 10 miles straight east.
So pretty close.
Yeah.
What did your parents do for a living?
Well, mostly on the farm.
On the farm.
Well, my mother was a school teacher to start with.
Did she teach in a one-room school?
Yep.
Yeah. Did she teach you?
No.
No. Were your parents from here, from Oklahoma?
No, they wasn't.
Your father was born where?
Well, in Ohio, I believe it was.
And your mother?
Well, I'd say Nebraska.
Oh. Well, what brought them to Oklahoma?
Well, I reckon change of life, probably.
Okay. Did you have brothers and sisters?
Do I now?
Did you?
No. I was the third one born.
Okay. Brothers or sister?
Brothers.
Both brothers. So, did you anyone after you, or were you the baby?
No, there was more. There was 6 boys altogether. 7 boys and 2 girls.
Big family.
Altogether.
Big family.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the house you grew up in.
Well, it was, I was born in a rock house. It was made out of rock.
How was it heated?
Wood stove.
Good. Indoor plumbing?
No,
No.
no,
Not back then, I'm sure.
no.
Well, how many rooms were in the house?
Well, probably just 2.
Well, then sleeping arrangements were fun, I bet.
Yeah,
Did you have to share a bed?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you went to, go ahead.
They, when I was in that house, they just, my folks and then 2 older brothers.
And then the other ones came along
Afterward.
later.
Pair of twins and then 2 singles.
Are you the first to be 100?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, when you went to first grade, where did you go?
Country school.
What was the name of it? Do you remember?
Red Top.
Red Top. And how many grades did you go there?
Well, just 1. That's where I started.
And then where did you go?
We went to Quinlan School.
Quinlan, okay.
Yeah. And then it went from there to Tangier. And then come back here to Mooreland.
Mooreland. You graduated from high school
Yeah,
in Mooreland?
yeah.
What year?
32.
32. Did you have a favorite subject?
Well, it sure wasn't history, I know that. Ancient. They started out, we had to take ancient history in high school, and boy, that was a drag, I'm telling you. Yeah.
What did you want to be when you were in high school? What had you planned for?
Oh, not really, but I took up law, and I had 100, grade of 100 almost all the time in it. In fact, they come out from Stillwater and wanted me to come to Woodruff. I told Stillwater to go to law school. Come out here twice.
Ah. And you didn't go?
I didn't go.
And why not?
Well, I was a farming, working on a farm.
And you like that pretty much?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you still do that today?
Yeah.
How many acres do you have?
1,300.
That's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you do much with it today?
Yeah. I'm working it right now.
And what are you doing with it?
Getting ready to plant wheat on it.
And do you harvest that yourself or get someone
No, I
else?
hire somebody now. I used to do it, but
Tractors and things have changed a lot,
yeah,
haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you were telling us when we came in about when you were 4 years old.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us that story?
Well, my folks lived at Quinlan, and I don't know, they decided they were going to go to Arkansas. And my dad and my mother, and I guess I was the third one then, and they went over there and they put in a grocery store on a lumber yard, and stayed 2 years. Them people over there, they didn't want you to get up the ladder. They wanted you to stay in along their class, and it was pretty rough. And my dad sold out. He ended up with a lumber yard and I don't know what all. And we come back, and I remember coming back, and in that covered wagon.
A covered wagon.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get back?
Must about a week probably. And one time over east here, it rained, and I thought we never were going to get up that hill. Yeah.
Pulled by two horses or
Two horses.
Two.
Yeah, and they had an extra one or two long.
That must have been hard traveling with three little boys.
Yeah, well, we walked a lot, just monkeying along, you know. Horses don't travel very fast, and it wasn't hard to keep up with them.
And you remember that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Then I remember them old farmers were helping us along the way, and yeah.
Good times, I guess.
Yeah, we'd cook outside, you know, and like that.
Did you use a Dutch oven stove?
Yeah, no, it was a big kettle.
Big kettle?
Yeah, had a big kettle I used.
Did
Build a
you,
fire under it, and yeah.
What would you usually eat?
Oh, I don't know. Probably a lot of corn.
did they take a cow with them
Yeah, we had a cow.
that traveled
Yeah,
behind the wagon?
yeah. Yeah.
So when you got back, did he farm then or do something
Yeah,
else?
yeah, he went in farming over there around Quinlan.
Did you have chores?
Well, no, not really.
Didn't have to milk the cow before school?
No, not then. Did later on when we moved down there where I'm at now, we had to get up and milk them cows before we went to school.
Did they have a dairy or just
No,
a few cows?
just milked about 8 or 10 cows.
Well, did your mother have a big garden?
Yeah, she didn't do it, but she helped. She kept her busy cooking.
And washing clothes?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, when you got out of high school, what did you do?
Well, I worked around different places, and then I kept farming.
Were you in the military?
I was in the Navy
For
about 4 years. I volunteered. They was, you know, they had a draft board, and a lot of these women their boys that get drafted, and they all say, well, where's Herman at? Why ain't he in here? And I said, well, you ain't gonna pull that on me, and I just went down and volunteered.
And volunteered for the Navy. What did you do while you were in the Navy?
Well, I was mostly stationed on land all the time.
Here in the U.S. or?
Well, out there in the Pacific. On Johnson Island.
Johnson Island.
It's way off southwest of Hawaii.
Okay.
And it was more of a kind of a sub-lookout island, what it was. And then they had a couple of planes that they patrolled the ocean out in there with them planes. And
what years was that? What year?
well, it was in 42, last of 42 and 43.
So part of the war, World
Yeah.
War II.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you see any combat?
No.
No.
Do you remember Pearl Harbor?
Oh, yeah. I was at home when that happened. It was on a Sunday.
And,
Yeah.
and how did you hear about it?
On the radio.
The farm had a radio?
Yeah. Yeah.
Battery or, well, you wouldn't have had did you have
Yeah.
electricity then?
Yeah. We just, we hadn't had it too long.
That was a happy day too when you got electricity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I got the dickens over that. Out of east of town here, I was a farmer, I had a place out there rented that had wheat on it, and it was about ready to cut. And they was wanting to put that line in to Quinlan, and they wanted to get in there and water down about 40, 50 feet along that wheat. And I said, no, you're going to wait till I cut it. And boy, them people was mad over there at me. But they wouldn't have paid me for it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, when I get it cut, well, you can go after it then. And they had to wait.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. So the house where you're living in now, you've lived in for a long time?
Well, yeah, it's been built on, and it was just a two-room house when we first moved down there.
Okay. So your parents owned it first?
Yeah.
And then came down to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Were you ever married?
Nope.
Come close?
Well, a lot of times, well, I was kind of engaged to a gal when the war broke out. And I said, she wanted to get married, and I said, well, let's just wait till it's over with. Because I don't know what's going to happen. And I got a letter from her in about, maybe 18 months. She said, I'm getting married. I said, well, I can't stop it. So if that's the kind she was, I thought, well, I'm glad I got rid of her.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, during those 4 years that you were in the Navy, did you get to come home?
Never.
Never?
Not till it was almost over.
Hmm.
I got a 30-day leave, and I didn't get my 30-day leave on the East Coast. They said everybody east of the Mississippi got 30 days boot camp, and the rest of us was going to get it when we get on the West Coast. Well, we got out there, they forgot about it. But I did have a good trip going from West Virginia to Navy base, clear to California. We got on a troop ship, our boat, our train, and there was sleepers on it. They had 2 beds, one above the other, and we had a diner on there, and I remember them big old hams out to the ham for breakfast. And it took us quite a while. We went clear down through Carolina And down, we went over the bridge at New Orleans, over the river, come back up to Fort Worth, and went from Fort Worth to out in Arizona, and then from there on up into San Francisco. Took us about a week.
Was that the first time you'd been on a train?
No. I rode on a train when I was 4 years old. That's where I went to Wichita and had my adenoids and tonsils taken out. Yeah.
The return trip wasn't fun then, was it?
No. Well, I remember I could name every one of them towns from Wichita to over here to down here.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah. I could. I could name every one of them.
At 4 years old.
Yeah. And I remember that old guy on one of them places. We stopped and he had that Wichita Eagle. And he kept hollering, "Get your eagle, get your eagle." And I thought maybe he had a live bird out there. That old cussy is selling papers. Yeah. Get your eagle.
Well, I know in 1918, 1992, their influenza was big. Did that impact your family any?
Oh yeah, everybody listened to Walter Winchell. Yeah.
Well, who did the discipline in your family, your mom or your dad?
Well, probably both of them. Yeah.
Did they need to do it very often?
No.
Was church an important part of your childhood?
Was what?
Church?
No, not really.
Did you go to?
My mother was a Seventh-day Adventist, was the way she was raised. My dad was a Baptist.
So they didn't make you go every Sunday or every time the church was open?
Uh-uh.
Do you remember anything about World War I? You would have been
A little bit. My granddad was in World War I. No, he was in the Civil War. He was in the Civil War. And
Yeah.
they got captured, and they was in a stockade, and they was about to starve to death. And him and another guy dug out, and they got out, and then the government guys, they caught them, and they thought they was deserting. But they was out stealing some food, because they was about to starve them to death. So they arrested him and put him in it's in Washington up there, a big old article about it. And they had a trial, and they said they wasn't what they thought they was, so it's on record that they was still citizens.
What was his name?
Sammy, they always called him. Samuel Harper.
Samuel Harper.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a pretty good sized guy.
And then World War I would have been your father's generation?
Yeah.
Your father's generation?
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was just at the right age that he didn't get drafted in World War I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you got out of the Navy,
Yeah.
how did you get back to Oklahoma?
Well, they had a troop train, and I was in on that first draft that they was eligible to get out. You know, they had a draft. They rated them, and I was in that first bunch, and there was a big old, I don't know, must have been 250 guys out there in San Francisco, and they put us on a train, and we went to Fort Worth. And that's where we went from Fort Worth to Oklahoma City. That's where I got discharged, but they put our meal on there at a diner, and they put it on there, and they fed us a lunch. And there was one old Indian boy, he got drunk before he got on there, and he was still drunk on there. But I was in charge of that diner on the door, keeping anybody out of there. And he come up there and he said, "Are you going to get something to eat?" And I said, "No, you're not." I had a walking stick with me, and I had it ready, and he was going to force his way in there. If he would have, I'd have cracked him with it. But he finally went back and sat down. But he was going to get something to eat. He was going to get something to eat.
And you had orders not to let anyone?
Not to let anybody get in there. And yeah, and I stayed with them orders. I got picked on a lot in this officers and stuff like that in the service.
Why?
Well, I don't know where my name was easy to remember or what, but they, I guess they figured they'd depend on me or something, because they sure heck got me a lot. One time it was about 250 men, and the deal was going to be a kind of inspection in March, and I was in a bunch that was just back about two of them 4 rows of men. I was in the 3rd row, and that lieutenant was out there in front of us, and he said, "Harper, front and center." Now, what the hell do I do now? Well, he made me lead that damn bunch of guys.
So it was a good pick, not a bad pick.
Yeah, and I got, of course, I wasn't long late, a lot of them, and I kind of got out of step, and the old guy, he was there walking with me, and he said, "Harper, get in step." Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Well, I want to know with farming, did you
We used horses all together. Till them rubber tires come out, and boy, when they come out, changed everything.
Well, what about the Dust Bowl?
Well, we was still down there. We taped the windows up and all that kind of stuff. I know that cloud come in on a Sunday, and it looked like a solid bank, and rolled in. Yeah. Yep.
Did you have to change your farming practices after
No,
the Dust Bowl?
no, a whole lot. That rubber tires coming on them tractors changed more than anything. Yeah.
And you said you had horses. Did you ever
Yeah.
did you ever ride horses?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I got kicked by them too. Yeah.
Do you remember their names?
Yeah, we had a couple, but I had about 2 of them. One of them was, what did you call him? One of them was Dick, and that Dick, he was an ornery little devil. You couldn't trust him. And I had a 100-pound sack of brand on my shoulder walking in. I walked by, and I was just lucky that I was right up close to him, and he kicked me. And he never got a lick in on me. He kind of more just like he would have been shoving me, but he was wanting to, if I'd been far enough, he'd broke me in two. Yeah, but he was ornery little dickens. But we had 2 6-horse teams we farmed with.
6
Yeah.
horses at one. 6 horses at one time.
Yeah.
Wow.
When did you get your first tractor?
Well, it was We got them one of the first ones they got in Woodward when they come in. It was
Before you went to the Navy or after?
no afterward.
After.
Mm-hmm.
So late 40s, early 50s?
Yeah. Yeah.
The one that's parked out there that you use is, you said was a
49, it's 49.
1949.
Yeah.
Was that the first one?
Well, my brother bought that after the war. They had to put in, you know, for get him, and he was, well, my cousin was a dealer in Watonga, and he managed to get him a tractor. Yeah.
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 And he said that tractor ran on propane.
Yeah, it was on gas when we bought it.
Oh, yes.
We put it on propane. But it's been a good old tractor. Used to do a lot of farming with it. One year I had about 150 acres of wheat drilled on Labor Day. Yeah.
You're supposed to take the day off on Labor Day.
Yeah, I know. But I had that much wheat drilled that day.
There probably weren't many days off
No.
at farming.
No, I'd find something to do.
Well, what was Christmas and Thanksgiving like when you were younger?
Well, it was always pretty nice. We always had turkey or something. Not very often ducks, but mostly chicken and turkey.
Do you have any family rituals or traditions?
No, not really. But we generally raised a big garden.
Your mother did a lot of canning?
Yeah,
Canning.
quite a bit, yeah.
Did you have to help?
No, I didn't. Them others younger than me, they're the ones that had to help. I didn't.
You got out of that?
Yeah,
Huh?
I got out of that kitchen work.
Did you have chickens?
Yeah, we had quite a few chickens.
Whose job was it to slaughter them?
Well, it was mine part of the time.
Did you have a method?
Well, then generally just chop their head off and put them in a brush pile or something and let them flock it out.
Mm-hmm.
But one time we had a lot of those white rock chickens, big chickens, and we made gentlemen out of them. We took their, they got a little, their cord in there to make them a rooster. You could take the first rib and cut a little knot in it, and you take that out of there. Get that out of there, and it'll make a capon out of them. And we kept a lot of them and fed them out, and they shipped them. They get big when you do that to them. And they shipped them up there to Kansas City, and them old guys, they wanted more of them. Yeah.
Shipped them by train?
Train, yeah. They made good meat when they done that to them. They get big like a big old turkey.
Well, how did you learn how to do that?
Well, I think the county agent was the one
Came and showed you how?
showed how, yeah. But it once in a while, if you didn't get it done right, well, you'd get what they call a slip, and it wouldn't turn out very nice.
Would it end up?
Being, oh, he wouldn't do no good. He'd just be like an old rooster. Yeah.
And on the train, did you just take them to here in Mooreland, or
Well, yeah, we took them up here and they shipped them.
does there a train come through here now, today?
Well, yeah, no,
they
them
don't.
trains don't. They
Don't
done
come.
away with them. After a little while after World War II, they quit running those passenger trains through here.
Well, I mean, with your chickens, if you had to do them now, how would they get to market?
Well, I don't know.
By truck?
By truck, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd like to try that again someday.
we can round you up a few.
Yeah.
Did you raise cattle too?
Yeah.
What kind of cattle?
Oh, mostly shorthorn. Yeah.
And where would you take them to market?
Well, over here at Woodward, they had a big sale barn over there.
Take them by truck?
Yeah. They drove a lot of cattle then around to the railroad. They used to have a big stockyard and they'd bring them in there. And generally on the weekend while them cattle, the guys would come bring them in horseback, maybe 20 or 30, maybe 10, 12 in a bunch, and put them on them trains and ship them.
You remember watching that?
Yeah.
Do you? Here in Mooreland? Or
Well,
Woodward?
I watched them guys taking them cattle. They done 3 or 4 on horseback. Yeah.
Real cowboys.
Yeah, real cowboys. Yeah.
Did you ever make a good profit off of your cattle sales?
Yeah. I only broke even one year, and the reason I did, I had a couple of guys was buying some cattle for me, and they paid too much money for them, and I just barely broke even. I thought, there ain't no more of that, I'm going to do it myself. And that's what I did. I bought my own cattle. I fed yearling, my calves about 400 pounds, and then grow them up and sell them in August, last August, 1st of September. But I contracted my cattle a lot. And I knew about what the market was supposed to be, and I'd get a hold of a buyer. I didn't wait till the run was on and then try to sell them. I had mine gone before that started. Them guys, well, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? Well, I said, I just watched the market and knew what was going to happen. It happened at the same time every year. And it still does.
How did you watch the market? By the newspaper or television?
Yeah, by
or
the
what?
newspaper mostly. Yeah.
How did you keep your records?
Oh, in my head most of the time. Yeah.
Did you ever remember your first car or your first truck?
Yeah, we had an old truck we hauled wheat with, and that thing would get so hot we'd have to run it up against a tree to get it to stop.
What was it, a Ford, Chevy?
It was Chevrolet. Yeah, that old truck had just, that engine wouldn't stop. It got so hot.
How long did you own it?
Well, about 3 years. Yeah.
Finally gave up on it, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
And your first airplane?
Did what?
Do you remember seeing your first airplane?
No, not really.
Well, when the Dust Bowl was going on, do you have any memories of that time period when the dust was
Well, I know it was pretty dry. Yeah.
around here?
Well, yeah, we put up roots and thistles and sunflowers for livestock feed.
Sunflowers and what?
Roots and thistles.
Thistles.
Yeah, them tumbleweeds.
Oh, that's pretty rough.
Yeah. Cut them when they're green and put them in a pit. Yeah.
And the cows ate them?
Oh, yeah, they like them. Yeah.
Thistles.
Yeah.
Thistles are
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt.
Yeah.
What about the Great Depression before the Dust Bowl? How did you remember the Great Depression any?
Well, we didn't seem like we had too much of a bad time with it. Of course, we were still using horses then.
It didn't affect you that much.
No.
Helped being on a farm.
Yeah. But when that rubber come along on them tractors, that changed a lot of things.
What did it allow you to do as a
Well,
farmer?
we sold all them horses and bought a tractor.
Didn't keep the horses.
No, we didn't keep them.
Not even one?
Well, we kept 2 or 3 or 4 of them, yeah.
Just for
Yeah.
fun.
But there's a lot of people used horses when that rubber come. I remember when I was a farming, we'd be out there with them horses, and that an old guy had a John Deere tractor, and that old popping thing. He'd come up there and a fence row and turn around and go back. Now, how the heck did that guy afford that anyway? But he had that big had a John Deere, and he could pull a 2-row lister with it.
And it would pop?
Yeah, it'd just go popping along. Popping Johnny, he called him. Yeah.
Well, did you have to help neighboring farmers harvest their?
Well, some. My daddy, back then, they was cutting that wheat with a header and a header barge. And my dad, he was always stacking wheat, put them wheat stacks. I used to work in a dang header barge when I was about 10, 11 years old. And you get in there and them old guys would say, Herman, you can load it, I'll just drive them.
I bet you remember shocking wheat.
Yeah. Yeah, there was quite a little wheat bound then. Yeah. And then they had them threshing machines, and most of those it was run by steam engine, the big old long belt.
Did your family have one, or
No.
one just come through?
One
Threshing
come
crews.
through.
Threshing crews.
Yeah. One year it got so wet that those wheat stacks grew green over the top. They had to use a hay knife to cut them open so they could get to the wheat. And we had a bunch of hogs, and they found out where them wheat stacks was, and they'd go there, and they cleaned that up all the way around it, the bottom of it. Didn't have no spoilings then because them hogs kept that clean, and that's where they was getting their meal from. But there's a lot of wheat lost. They did have to use a hay knife to cut that stack open. It was so wet. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned county agents a little while ago. Do you remember doing much else, using them for many other things, the county agent?
No. Oh, one time. Well, there's an old guy that lived up north here. He had a bunch of chickens, and they was dying on him. And the county agent said that he had to go up there, and he wanted me to go with him, and I went up there with him. And them chickens, they had coccidiosis, and that'll kill them. And that old farmer, he said, now which side of the field was that on?
Well, when you were in your high school and a little bit later, did you do any dancing or go to
Oh, yeah,
things like
some.
that? Some?
Went to a lot of times to go to a dance on Saturday night. But I didn't drink and do all that smoking and stuff like a lot of guys.
Just
Never
danced.
did.
Just danced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This,
Was it square dance or?
yeah, both, yeah. Both. Yeah.
And can you sing?
No,
No?
no. I had an uncle was a good singer, but he didn't like it. He might have made money out of it if he just went ahead and done it. My mother's brother. Yeah.
Play any instruments?
No, I didn't.
No harmonica or?
No.
Did you listen to the radio?
Yeah.
Any type of particular shows or?
No, no. Trying to get the news on all the time.
We've had one or two people talk about Delco batteries.
Oh yeah.
Did you?
We didn't have any days. The neighbors had some. Yeah.
Yeah, but wasn't always good.
No. No. There's quite a few of them Delco batteries around. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was before electricity, I
Yeah.
guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If this one's ringing. See how many rings it goes.
Probably why we're here.
All right. Next.
Give up.
No, they gave up. Did you ever think you would make it to 100 yourself?
No, not really.
Not really.
Yeah,
I generally, if I had anything wrong with me though, I'd go to the doctor.
So that's what do you think your secret is to living this long?
Well, just taking care of your health. Yeah.
you said you were the first one in your family to live to 100.
Yeah.
Have you had any?
Oh, I had a cousin. She lived to be 104.
Wow.
And your brothers, you still have any?
Yeah.
Are any of your siblings still alive?
Yeah. I got a brother, one of them twins. He's in the rest home, and my sister, they're both in the rest home. He's he's 98, and she's 90.
Just some good genes.
Yeah.
What about your parents? How long did?
Well, my dad lived to be 96. If he would take a blood thinner, and I didn't know that he quit. And he had a stroke. My mother died young, though. She died with breast cancer.
Okay. And how old was she?
Probably about 54.
Oh, really, really young then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what did you do to celebrate your 100th birthday?
Well, they had a big blowout over at Woodward for me. They had about 100 people there. And yeah.
People from your past come out of the woodwork. Huh?
Yeah.
Were they trying to get your secret to living long and secret
They always ask me that.
secret to farming?
Yeah. I'd say, well, one thing, I never was married. And that'd get 'em. And I'd say, well, I never drank or smoked like that. Yeah.
Didn't smoke while you were in the military?
No.
No.
I could have a beer every day, but I'd trade my beer for a little ice cream or something. Yeah.
And no cigarettes?
No cigarette.
So describe a typical day for you today now. Like how early do you get up?
Oh,
And what do you
around
do through the day?
6:30.
And then what do you do the rest of your day?
Well, I generally find something to do. I like to run that tractor, I know that.
And you still get on it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you still drive?
Yeah.
A car or
drive.
a truck or whatever?
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people be somewhere else say, well, how did you get over here? I said, well, I drove. And they said, drive?
Is it a stick shift or an automatic?
Automatic.
Automatic. And how late do you stay up?
Oh, I generally get about 10 o'clock news.
So,
Yeah.
do you still read the newspaper?
Oh, yeah.
read anything else? Do you come to the library?
No,
You read any books or anything?
No.
You just stay out with the news.
stay off the news. You can read all, and I take quite a few farm papers.
Okay.
Did you ever rely on the Farmer's Almanac?
No, I look at it once in a while. Yeah,
And how do you check your weather?
well, on the radio, on the TV.
Do you use the computer any?
Do what?
Do you use the computer?
I don't have any. It's right up here.
It's okay.
I went to a physical. They had a physical over here at Woodward. Well, they have them. They call them something about the life living or something, but they give pretty good physical. And
Have you been pretty health conscious your whole life?
well, yeah, I had all my troubles when I was about 4 years old. I had typhoid fever and diphtheria and measles and all that kind of stuff.
Before you were even in the first grade?
Yeah. I remember when I had diphtheria, my mother and my aunt, they got on top of me on the bed. They had to and grab my nose and had that big old spoon. They used a lot of castor oil in. And they gave me a big old spoonful of that, and hell, they had to choke me to get that down.
What were some of the other remedies they would do?
Well, that was mostly all
Those
they used.
You didn't tell them you were sick any more than you?
No. But there was some neighbors. Well, we went over to my grandparents, and them neighbors had 2 boys, and they didn't believe in doctrine. And one of them boys got sick, and he died pretty quick with that diphtheria. And the other neighbor that found out about it, and they said, "You're going to take that boy to town. You're going to take him to the doctor now." And they made him take that boy, and they saved him. And that's where I picked that diphtheria up. Was when they'd come to my grandparents' house. Yeah.
So Mooreland had its own doctor at that time?
Well, that was at Woodward.
Woodward.
Yeah. Was out at Tangier when that happened.
The doctor ever make any home visits?
Oh, they used to, yeah. Yeah.
What's your motto or in life?
Oh, I don't know. Don't let stuff get the best of you is one thing. And kind of be happy along with stuff. Not worry about a lot of stuff. Because anything you can do about it.
It's a good motto.
Yeah.
And if history were written about you today, what would you want it to say?
Oh, I don't know. Tell them I'm a pretty good guy, I guess. I'm not hard to get along with. As long as they don't try to trump on me, why, I'll go along with them.
Any regrets from not saying yes when OSU came knocking?
No.
No.
Is there anything you have on your bucket list? Anything you want to do that you've never done before?
Well, oh, not really. I've been around a lot of places. I've been to Kentucky Derby and been down in that Boulder Dam out there. And I've been around through the Panama Canal. Yeah.
What's the one thing you've seen that in your life that's been your favorite place to visit or?
Oh, I don't know. I had a pretty good time when I won the Kentucky Derby.
Who won?
Well, I don't remember now. That horse was supposed to win 3 times, but it did win 2. It was her second run when I was over there. And the Queen of England was over there that week, that time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth.
Probably.
Yeah. That was back in about 1980, 2 or 3.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen a lot of changes and lots of things.
Yeah.
What's been the most?
Oh, I don't know.
Besides rubber tires?
I think medicine was a big change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Penicillin from one.
Penicillin, and I used to get some boils sometimes, and I come here to the doctor, and he said, "Herman, are you allergic to sulfa pills?" Sulfa, and I said no. And he put me a whole 7 days on sulfa. I never had another boil.
Well, then it worked.
Yeah. And I'm not allergic to any of that stuff, sulfur or penicillin or none of it. But he did, he put me on sulfa, and it cleaned it out.
Do you take any major medicines today?
No, I take one baby aspirin,
And that's
and
it?
then I take a high density peel off in cherry seed. It's supposed to help your joints, supposed to lubricate your joints, you know, that gel in your joints, and that's all I take.
It seemed to be working.
Yeah, I think it's helped me.
Interesting.
But I hurt my shoulder a long time ago, but it was bothering me, and I went to the doctor, and he said, "You're getting ready to have a heart attack." That's one sign of it, you know. And they got that old doctor up there, and he looked me over and all that stuff, and I never heard anything from him. And I called him about 2 weeks, and he was out on the golf course. And they got him on the phone, and I asked him about my heart, and he said, "Ain't a damn thing wrong with your heart." He had it out there on that golf course.
So you're in pretty good shape for 100.
Yeah. Well, I went to one about 3 years ago down to Oklahoma City, and the doctors all said, "Well, you got the body of a 70-year-old man." That's what they told me.
Are there days that it feels worse than others?
What?
Do you have days when you feel like you're 70 versus
Yeah.
100?
No, not. I just, that 100 don't bother me any.
I was going to ask what's the biggest challenge to being 100?
Oh, what is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, watch what you're doing. You can get in trouble awful quick.
Well, I mean, your vision's pretty good,
Yeah.
and your hearing's pretty
Yeah.
good,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
and you can get around.
Yeah. I've got an ankle. I've got a brace on it now, 100 for a lot of them, braces, but I was about 12 years old, and I was hunting and caught a possum, and he went up a tree. And then, of course, hollow there where he went in, and I climbed that tree. It was a big, like him down there in the yard. It wasn't that big, but it was big, easy to climb. I climbed that tree and I reached in there to get that old possum, and I got him while he got me. And of course, I turned loose all holes because, boy, that hurt, and I fell. And if that tree would have been smooth at the bottom, but I come down right down with it, and then I sprained that ankle, and it's bothered some ever since. Lately, it's been worse, and my ankle don't set like straight like it ought to. It sets off a little bit.
Did you break it?
No, I just sprung it.
Just sprung it?
Yeah, and it stayed sprung. I should have had it worked on right when I had it done, but I didn't.
Well, did Mooreland have a baseball team back in the early days when you were younger?
They had a football team.
Football, okay.
And they played baseball. Town of Mooreland had a baseball team.
Do you remember going to their games?
Oh, some of them. I didn't go to a lot of them, but
Had to work too much on the
yeah,
farm,
I
huh?
had to keep doing something. And we got that North Canadian River down there, where you could go down there and go fishing in it.
That's what you do for fun?
Well, yeah,
Did you ever go hunting?
yeah,
Possums.
Possum.
awesome, yeah.
What else would you do for fun?
Well, not a whole lot. In wintertime, I used to skate some. When we had ice.
Ponds would get the ice thick
I
enough?
skated on that river down there. Yeah.
You wouldn't do that today, I don't think.
No, it's dry as a bone, almost. Got a little water in it, but not very much.
Anything else you want to tell us before we shut it off?
Well, no. I'm just thankful to be here, that's one thing.
I'm thankful you're here too,
Yeah,
and appreciate you sharing your stories with us.
yeah,
And I'm glad the rubber's here too.
yeah.